Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. What's up, y'all? Um, yeah, last night it just like crashed on me. Um, Everything just kind of froze, and it was kind of late, and honestly, I didn't really feel like rebooting up everything, and so I figured I'd just leave it for today. Um, Today, as you could tell by um, the thumbnail, um, there is this quote from her name is Maria of. Oh, let me get this right. I don't want to start this off. Maria the prophetess, Maria the Jewess. Um, she is a one of the kind of pioneers in the science of alchemy, and Jung became, in his later life, became very fascinated with alchemy, and um, one of the things that he was reading was from this Maria, um, and it's called the Axiom of Maria, and it's a quote that goes as it says on the thumbnail. It says, "One becomes two, two becomes three, and out of the third comes the one as the fourth." Um, and it's taken at face value. It's very hard to. Oh, what? Let's go. Hey, I appreciate that. Goes a long way, man. I appreciate you. Um, it it, if so in alchemy, right? Um, the Philosopher's Stone, the magnum opus, is kind of like the end goal. And in alchemy, how to explain this is you start with the rock, right? You start with the one rock, and it goes through all these different processes. But at the end of it, you have the one rock still. It's just gone through a lot of processes, and it's combined all these other things into it, but it's still this one rock. Um, and in my thumbnail, you could probably tell that it's the same thing with in the eyes of psychology, where you start as a whole one person in your childhood. You start as your true, authentic, capital S self, um, and then as your ego develops, which is America, one becomes two, right? So your unconsciousness becomes your consciousness in your unconsciousness. You start fracturing from yourself, um, and then from there you fracture even further, and two becomes two becomes three. So now yourself is so detached from the rest of you that you are three kind of separate entities. Um, you are your ego, you're your shadow, you're your consciousness, your unconsciousness, you're yourself, you're the body, soul, mind, you're all these different things. Um, but out of when you go through the process of individuation and you start re-assimilating these different things back into your conscious psyche, um, you get back to that one, right? But because you've gone through this process, that one is now a, a kind of reforged, hardened thing, um, and much much more valuable and much more whole than what it started as. But you are still that one thing. You are no longer separate from yourself. Oh, Jesus criminy. And you see this everywhere throughout the Lands Between, right? You see basically the two fingers represents the two, right? It represents the opposites, the duality. And then out of that two comes the resolution of two is three. Like you introduce this third thing, which is supposed to be a better version than what two was. But the issue we're having here with America and the Lands Between is that she is still going through this process, right? Like we're her third. So once we get through the Elden Lord, we are the third Elden Lord, and out of us, right, we get the out of the third comes the one as the fourth. And what that is, I believe, is Miquella's kind of true form, which I believe is America 2.0. Oh, jeez Louise, this is ridiculous. Oh, don't do it. So I'm different character today, but trying to get down to fight Melina so we can talk about that. But Melina, right, and we've talked about this before too, but Melina being... Is this really quiet? Being representative of America 1.0, right, the one who is kind of going through these hardships and going through this process of individuation and self-reflection. When she blooms for the third time, becomes a goddess of that. Oh my god. You douche! Wow, I'm getting my butt kicked. Damn! But the Aeonian bloom, in its description, says that once Melania goes through the third bloom, she will become the goddess of rot. Which is just another, like, emphasis on the power of moving through this process. And it's something that is kind of like, we looked at the motif on the Erd tree, and what that means, but it's telling the same story, because it's like the crucible, right? Out of the crucible, the thing that was all encompassing, all inhabiting, the one, out of that came the Erd tree, and with the Erd tree came all of these different kind of divisions and fractures and everything that we see in game. And from that, the response to that is the three fingers, right? Is this element of chaos that needs to be reintegrated into the Lands Between, because this order has a grip on the Lands Between, which is not good. It is just it's a order of opposites, and when we can't... Oh my god, dude, I'm getting my butt whooped and I'm super overpowered. when we have opposites within our psyche, if we can't have the if we can't have that third thing, the intermediary between the opposites, driving them back together, um, then we're never gonna be able to reassimilate those opposites into the one as the fourth. It's a very deep and thought provoking um, one sentence thing that honestly Carl Jung spent a very long time thinking about, and it wasn't until he came up with this. Wow, that is a big, just right in the middle of my head. This is the worst place to fight this thing. Gee, are you ever gonna get like rock? Oh yeah. Oh, and I got a freaking arrow to the face. Um, but going back to the motif on the Erd tree, like from so the bottom of the picture is the crucible, and from the crucible you see the Elden Ring coming from it, representing from the state of unity, from the state of unconsciousness, we get our ego, and now we're split into basically the ego and the shadow. We're split into the conscious and unconscious. Okay, and then from that, so the one becomes the two, and from that, because we are split, we have to have a third thing that is able to reunite those two things, which is, in America's case, it's the process of individuation, starting through ego death, which is basically just resizing your ego so it can be in balance with the rest of your psyche. So that third thing, once everything is reassimilated back together, comes the one out of the fourth, and the one is capitalized, so it's like this deity, this entity, this it's like you're back into your divine essence of, and we see that it's basically the crucible again in that motif that's kind of coming out of those two those three processes. So you kind of just get back to where you once were. It's just a software update, basically. So with drawing this back to dark on the screen. Drawing this back to, oh my god. Drawing this back to kind of the Elden Lords and the three steps of alchemy, the three steps of individuation, and the process of, going from a stone to a stone, going from the self to the self, and with that being represented by Melania and her scarlet bloom, you can think of it as like each time it blooms is another Elden Lord. Yo! Yeah. I mean, it's deep, dude. It's deep, Oliver. But each time it blooms, think of it as another iteration of the Elden Lord. She's reintegrating another aspect of herself. all of all these different things that are analogous to, you know, the Negredo. Oh, I hate these freaking things. I don't have a heal either, so. No way. No way. Where'd you go? Mm-mm. 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 Oh no. God damn it. Just running. Just running. Can I even make that? Jump. Care about you. I don't care about you. These are all jerks. Ow. You guys come. So it begs the question as to what really is the proper ending, right? Is the proper ending the chaos ending, where you are going back to basically the prima materia? Oh my god, you have got to be kidding me. And I'm not so sure that there is kind of the way I'm leaning now is that that is the proper ending. And what we're going to see in the DLC is the god of that world being the Glowmite Queen, and basically it will show Mikola going through his process of combining all of these various aspects of the psyche back into one. Mikola being the one who can... Oh my god. Oh my god, dude, this is ridiculous. Leave me alone, bro. Nope. Sheesh. Um, so basically, what's happening once we take our seat as Elden Lord for the third time, right? We are the third iteration of this Elden Lord. We are on the third step of the magnum opus. We're on the third step of development, third step of individuation, all of this different type of stuff. Mikola is finally in his most developed state, right? He is able to freely come and go from the quote unquote dream world, the spirit world, the unconsciousness, and re assimilate all of these different aspects of America's psyche. And I tend to think that that is what will happen in Shadow of the Erdtree. Which means that the chaos ending, although it seems incredibly negative, is the first step in the final set of steps in finishing this process. Oh my god. Just kill me. Oh my god. Forgot how hard this area is. It's ridiculous. And basically, a way that you can think of this is like the emphasis put on Mikola and the importance and all of the talk of him being the one true God, the one that needs to finish the job and all this different stuff. If we pick any other ending, we are basically saying that this is good enough. Um, the world around us is good enough, and we're just gonna mend it a little bit, and that's kind of the end of it. If you take Ronnie's ending, you're, in my opinion, entering this nihilistic oblivion where there really isn't any meaning behind anything, and it's almost akin to like suicide. Just this dark, empty void of nothingness. Oh my god! Leave me alone. You, good job, great. And a way that we know that Mikola is indeed this person, this intermediary between the two and the three, who needs to help America become back to her quote her self capital S, is through these. Oh my god, do not have. I don't have Radigan's Ring of Lights. Whatever. So basically, Radigan. Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. Oh my god. Um, is it seems that Radigan gifts Radigan's Ring of Lights to Mikola, and Mikola gifts. I don't know which one comes first, but the fact that Mikola is associated with 3, right? Um, and another way to explain this is through the laws of causality and the law of regression. So causality being basically cause and effect, right? Like the butterfly effect, the order of processes, and then the law of regression is going back and diverting to a lesser thing. So with it's the same thing. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, and out of the third comes the 1, the fourth. So the law of causality explains the 1 through 3. The law of regression explains the 1 coming out of the fourth. And we just see this time and time and time again, just like everything else is played out in this game several times. So are these themes of numbers, of 2s, 3s, and then back to 1, which is a new and improved 1, the fourth. So here again, right, these statues of what we can only assume to be Mikola, aka Saint Trina, is him going into the shadow world, right? He is going into the spirit world. He is intermediating between these two realms to help bring them back together. So like another way to think about it is he is kind of like he's acting as the trunk of the tree, right? He is going above the surface and below the surface in order to reassimilate all these different things. Oh god. Come on now. What? 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 What is going on? Oh my god. He head first in there? Sheesh. Um, so So, for example, we have these three butterflies, right? We have the nascent butterfly, which is Mikola. We have Aeonian butterfly, which is Melania. And then we have the smoldering butterfly, which is Melina. And at one becomes two, two becomes three, and out of the third, when all these three things combine, we get this kind of final bloom, this final god that is the totality of more than the sum of these three things. And then we just kind of see that everywhere, right? Like we have regular row of fruit, golden, and frozen. So this would be like the self, the ego, and the shadow. Those three come together. Earth leaf, faded, and fire. Those three. It's all the same thing over and over and over again. Um, Another really interesting thing that I was reading about was the process of individuation. Um, there's a quote by Jung um, about this process of individuations and the dangers of not going through it. Um, and I'm going to summarize here because it's very heady. But basically, what Jung says about if you do not individuate, if you do not become your true authentic self, if you don't become the person you were meant to be, if you don't fulfill your potential, all these different things, you basically sacrifice your life. Um, you're basically dead because you're not living your true authentic self. And to me, when I read that, it really hit home for what Marika says about her demigod children and the echoes of Marika, where she says, I don't care what you do, become a lord, become a god, but if you don't do anything, then you'll become sacrifices. Um, Basically, what she's saying is if you don't reach your potential, right? If you're not going to be something, a part of me that helps me reach my potential, then you will be sacrificed. You will be excised from my psyche. I forget what that is. I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go get it. I get it. Let me have it. Oh God, I don't care about that. Oh, bitch. You bitch. Uh-huh. Hmm. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's try this again. Not that way. If you guys are watching at home, later on, trying to get to 600 subscribers by Christmas. Be a great Christmas gift to me from y'all. Even if you hate what I'm saying, just subscribe. Just do it. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of. Oh, shit. I did not know you could backstab those people. Oh. Oh, that's where it's at. So where the frick is this thing? Please go away. Just trying to live my life. Thank you. God damn. I'm just reading. Let me see this. So somebody commented on my the story transformation video. It says Tarnished Archaeologist went over what is on the door and cycles of birth and rebirth, dying, and how it deals with the tree and with the triquetra, a commonly used symbol in Wiccan and other religions to represent the life, the death and rebirth, just as the door displays. To me, America's soul is represented by the golden illusory trees, showing that it has gone through the cycles of life and death and rebirth many times. But there are other illusory trees throughout the game as well, and I believe that those trees represent the other gods mentioned. Death and death, the white trees, and the white trees with red blooms are from the goddess of life. Who the heck's the goddess of life? Another, I believe, each of these gods represent a phase in that cycle is America herself as rebirth itself. America takes control and removes death, and the world is off balance, with those who are slain immediately coming back or being reborn through the Erd Tree burial. But these souls aren't dying in between, which is why Melina becomes destined death and takes... Dude, I feel like there's a lot of zigzag turns in there. I could not follow that at all, my man. Any figure consisting of 3 arcs, including a pinwheel design of the type of says that the 3-cornered and connects deeply with the power of 3. The meaning varies in different religions and cultures, but the concept of interconnectedness and affinity seem to be foundation of all groups. Maiden, Mother, and Crone. Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing, right? Um, Jeez. Okay, I thought I was gonna die right there. I will continue with my other build. I thought it would be worthwhile to see if I could maybe kill Melania and get her um, her great rune and her remembrance, and see what we can make of it. What the frick is this for? Okay. Thank you. Leave me alone. come on now. Wow. Oh. You bitch. Nope. Thought that would go up. Alright, fuck it. We should just go for it, huh? Hmm. Traveler's clothes, light yet sturdy clothes worn by young women who set off into the world to confront their fate. Where the hell does this go? I also think it's important for me to mention that I think it's very clear that what that those three different elements, right? Those three different things all also represent like the cycle of life. And that's kind of the point, is like as you go through the process of ego death and rebuilding your psyche, something dies, something is reborn, and out of that comes like a new thing. Jeez Louise, dude. Absolutely ridiculous. Down you man. Newman's Rune. The Newman are said to have come from outside lands between and are in fact of the same stock as Queen America herself. Who the fuck isn't? Heroes basically die as soon as they earn this hero status. Runes of one who was destined to become a lord, but when the Elden Ring was shattered, all that remained was a distant duty. This is not where I wanted to go. What? I sat at that grace, didn't I? Oh, you can't be serious. God damn it. Oh, good God. Oh. Another kind of reason to think that the chaos ending is the true progression of the story, is because we know that in the beginning there was the one great, right, where everything came from, and then there are the two fingers, right, which seems to be the era we're in right now. And then the chaos ending is about the three fingers. So one becomes two, two becomes three. And then out of that, the true ending at the end of the DLC or at the end of Elden Ring, whatever that is, will be back to the one great, back to Marika's childhood-like psyche, where she is the one. What's up, Puzzle? How are you, my dude? I mean, it's not really about math, but numbers. There's no adding or subtracting, though, I promise. It's almost worse.
I dreamt for so long. My flesh was dull gold, and my blood rotted. corpse after corpse left in my wake, as I awaited his return. Heed my words. I am Melania, Blade of Mikola. And I have never known defeat.
Whoa! Dude, this is definitely America. Baiting me. Get away. Dude, my God. I almost think that this is the America fight. Ah. Jeez, dude. I have not fought her in a very long time. I'm getting my ass whooped. No. Of course you stop. Oh, just out of range, aren't you? Come on, come on. Yeah. Like, ah, no, no. I'm like a half a second too late. Yeah, puzzle. So like, I believe that this is the aspect of America, um, her current state. Oh, just like that. Good God. Oh God. um, I'm trying to think of a way to like to to phrase this without looking crazy. Um, so America, as the anima within Jung psychology, she, as she develops, right, we see that so too does her animus, aka the Elden Lords. So the first Elden Lords, the first stage, America and Godfrey, right? The second stage, and this is where it gets a little bit muddy, is I believe that America, although the body is still inside the Erd tree, her projection outward is now Renala. Um, and the the counter to that of the animus is Radigan. And we can kind of connect the dots because within the first kind of stage, it's all about faith, it's all about strength, it's very one sided. The second stage, she starts to explore a little bit, and integrated within the second stage is now the concept of kind of intelligence and sorcery as as we get from the Erdtree Seal and all these different the fundamentalists, all this different kind of stuff where it's no longer just faith; it's faith in intelligence. So it's the culmination of those two coming together, right? And then in the third stage, this heartbroken, grief-stricken stage 2 of Renala, with the lake of rot being underneath of her, consuming her. What we get out of that, right? The next stage is this goddess of rot, who has completely been consumed by this state. And well, let me take a step back, because so America being the third stage as reflected of Melania, right, and this goddess of rot is her current state. And when we defeat this current state, right, when we get past this obstacle, we too then move forward with becoming Elden Lord. And then the fourth state of that is Mikola. It's really hard to, like, without a couple hour long kind of presentation and item descriptions, it's and the fact that Melania says that she's been dreaming for so long, and she thought her skin was gold and her blood rotted, and the fact that Queen Marika, the Eternal, has been missing for so long, and nobody's seen her for a long time, and coupled with the overwhelming kind of, I'm not going to say consensus yet, but more and more people are like, well, if this person is Marika, and this person is a reflection of Marika, and this represents Marika, like, where do you draw the line? It really kind of opens up the possibilities of, like, okay, so if Radican can be Marika, and he has his own backstory, and he has a plethora and wealth of information, and he's Marika, then kind of where do you... Oh, jeez Louise, lady. Where do you draw that line? And, you know, when the DLC picture first came out, everybody's like, oh, that's Mikola. And then everybody's like, well, it could be Marika. And, like, Mika looks identical to Marika. And I think to distinguish them from one another is definitely a mistake. they all seem to be just different phases and aspects and stages of development that America is in. And the Elden Lord video that I'm making right now, one of my points is that, you know, if Radigan, who is an ordinary person who seems to have come from nowhere, is America, then does it follow that Godfrey was also America during his, like, did they share the same body during his reign? And will we share the same body during our reign? And if your knee-jerk reaction to that is no, then I would ask you why. FromSoft doesn't do things, you know, willy-nilly, and they could have had the same story without Godfrey, right? Like, nothing really would change. So they could have had Radagon just be the Elden Lord, right? Which changes everything, because if Radagon is just Elden Lord, and he is America, then, and he is America alone, right? And there's not all these weird other things happening, then it's possible that those two are unique within that thing. Do it. Don't do it to me. But because FromSoft makes the concerted effort to let us know that there was an Elden Lord before, who was a man of, you know, pure strength, and who was, during that time, they were completely focused on just faith. If the second version of that, those two were the same body, the same person, there's a logical connection to assume that so too was the first time that this happened, and so too will be the next time that it happened. And that's kind of like the... Oh, god damn it. Yeah, Fia, looks like America Mikola 2, usual clown rotations. I don't know what that means, Smith Bob. And I think it's about just how you choose, right, to perceive the events of the story. I am choosing to take the fact that the second Elden Lord, and a very original, like, the game also goes out of its way to say, like, we don't know why he became Elden Lord. He was just a dude from nowhere, and they share the same body. Like, if the game takes the effort to draw attention to that fact, and they share the same body, then there's no reason to assume that it would be different elsewhere. Oh, you bitch! Oh, you dog. And I think if you choose to believe that this connection is only between America and Radigan, then again, I think the burden of proof would have to be on you. Because it seems that, like I've said, you know, that there isn't anything special about Radigan. Dude, this AI is like so fucked. Literally can't do anything. Oh, come off of it! Jesus Christ. And then I think you also need to explain, to kind of further that point, is like, the game countless times has the theme of like your different aspects of the same person. The D brothers, Millicent, so then then it's like, okay, so wait, so it can be true for both the god of the game as well as seemingly anybody. Then where do you draw the line, and how do you draw the line? And I kind of think that that seems to be the way that the community is tipping, unless you're, you know, just reading item descriptions and like not really looking into it. Because even reading item descriptions is incredibly confusing. So, for example, so Enya tells us when we first get Godric's Great Rune, she says, Great Runes are the stuff of demigods. Okay, so if you have a Great Rune, you're a demigod. And then she goes on to say demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen Marika. Okay? So we know that Renala and Radagon had 3 children, quote-unquote children, that are step-god demigods to Marika. But... Dude, did they change this or something? I feel like you used to be able to just run away from that. But Enya, at the very beginning of the game, she says, and she makes, again, a concerted effort to let the player character know that they are all, each and all, the direct offspring of Queen Marika. So, you can't have that and stepchildren in the same universe. So it's either you need to at that point you're confronted with, this a crisis of belief, and it's you're either going to believe that one of these two things is lying, right, or that Miyazaki and FromSoft made a mistake and have not corrected it, or that just like everything else, it seems that Renala is an aspect of America. That's the only way that makes sense. And then again, in Godric's Great Rune, it says that the first of the demigods, and we know that the demigods are each and all the direct offspring of Queen America. The first of the demigods is Godfrey, but he's also the first Elden Lord. Oh. Hi. You want to go to Grandma and Grandpa's hot tub?
Yeah.
I would love to, little man. All right, buddy. I'll be right up, okay? Thank you for coming to ask me. I did. It's okay, because I'm going to die right here anyway. Uh-oh. Sounded like it hurt. And that's... Oh. I'll be right up there, Leon. Let me just finish this one thought and then I'll be up, dude. Can you grab me, please?
Come on, let me.
Run, Leon, run! Oh, I'm dead. You're dead.
Can you help me find it? Can you help me find it? No. We keep going hot.
No!
You want to go hot tub? Yeah. Okay, let's find the
That's real life for you guys right there. As you can tell, I gotta go soon. But I just wanted to kind of quickly wrap up this thought with this is why I'm so focused on what I'm focused on. Is because I think that it's the only way to explain what is happening in the Lands Between with all these different characters. And it seems that to look at it any way else, and I'm not saying any way else, but to look at it from a very like straight on quote unquote lore perspective, it seems like you're going to be spinning in circles for a very, very, very long time. And that was just 3 very quick explanations with 3 major dialogues and just item descriptions in game that if they were mistakes, by 2 years in, they definitely would have been fixed. It's not like it's some obscure thing. You know, it's the first Great Rune that we get. It's the first time we talk to Inya. It's another Great Rune from Rykard. Like, if these 3 things are contradictory to one another, I don't see how you can move forward without implementing some sort of psychological fragmentation within it. That's the only way to make sense of putting all these things back together. So, yeah. Be interested to know what you guys think. And what your take on I guess those 3 items are, and how you kind of explain those 3 incongruities. Because I just, in my own experience, I don't see any other way to think about it. And then furthermore, if there is another way to think about it, that these aren't different aspects of America's fractured psyche, where do you draw that line, and how do you know? Like, to me, if America is in this third stage of this process, and that embodiment is brought to life via the character of Melania, and she's been dreaming for so very long, and she's having these weird dreams, and she's waiting for quote unquote him to return. To me, that, like, she's waiting for her counterpart, this balancing partner, to come back to her. So that's kind of, and it's also weird that in a game where America is the god and like clearly the main entity in the game, that we never fight her, right? It's strange. And then to come across a female character who looks like America and who is in her third iteration, as evidenced by the Ionian Bloom item description, and when she finally just succumbs to this outer god of rot, this outer neurosis of depression and grief, she becomes the goddess of that neurosis. And I'll leave you with one other kind of thought. And this comes from Murray Stein, who is a Jung analyst and who worked with Jung for a very long time in his later years. And he describes an unbalanced psyche is where you develop neuroses. And these neuroses are what come to dominate your life. And we've kind of talked about how those are the quote-unquote outer gods. And Melania, being alone, waiting for her counterpart, is clearly an unbalanced neurosis, an unbalanced psyche, causing a neurosis, and she becomes this god. So, my son's screaming at me, so I gotta go. Let me know what you guys think. As you can see in the corner there, I'm trying to get to 600. Come on, people. I need a couple more subscriptions. Don't forget to give this a like. Be on the lookout for my lore video that's coming out soon. And let me know what you think. Give this some comments. Give it some love. Give it some hate. Whatever. But I'm curious to know what you guys think.